Yeah, okay, right.
Yes, you can start, sir. Thank you.
So, very good morning to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank Professor Dr. N. Murugan, who thought of us to be a part of this great opportunity. So, I will start now my presentation. So, one second.
Parvati Priya ma'am, please stop presenting ma'am. Then only sir can present.
Yeah,
Parvati Priya ma'am, are you able to hear me? Ah, yes, thank you ma'am.
yeah,
Sir, now
now
you
it's
can.
okay.
Yes sir, thank you.
So, are you able to see the slides now?
Yes sir,
So, I'll start my lecture.
please sir.
So, once again, good morning to all of you who have joined and who are joining and so on. So, I'm going to talk to you on, or I would like to share my experiences of implementing a robotic automation in the industry environment. So, I'm planning to cover this in two lectures. One in the morning, where I'll be telling you what are all the challenges when you start implementing an automation project. And in the afternoon, I'll go into the details of the actual components, what were the challenges, and how did we overcome that, etc. So it's a two-part lecture. In the first part, I'm going to cover the basics, what are all the real factors that we have to consider while we go ahead for implementing robotic automation. So a very brief introduction of our Center of Excellence. So it was a project of Government of India started by PSG College of Technology, wherein three departments are having their tenure. One is the Robotic Automation Engineering Department, headed by Professor Dr. Vinod. I think you would have heard his lecture on the first day. The second is Professor Sundaram, who heads the EEE Electrical Engineering Department. And third is the Metallurgical Engineering Department head, Dr. J. Krishnamurthy, who is also heading this metallurgy division or metallurgy department. So I am serving from the industry side as a head for completely installation of all equipments and serving the industry, academics, faculty, and so on. This project was about 27 crores funding, 21 crores coming from government, and 1 crore, 6 crores coming from industries, including PSG industries and so on. So now we have all the latest welding equipments. I am showing you only the automation equipments. As you see on the slide, we have a gantry robo with both TIG and MIG heads, wherein you could do any kind of experiment. All these facilities have been set up to help you, all the faculty members who are interested in doing some projects with us. You are welcome. Your MS, PhD, BTech projects, students, faculty members. If you are taking up some projects for DST, all of you are welcome to our center. Use the facilities. So far, many of the research scholars from different universities outside Tamil Nadu as well as inside Tamil Nadu have been utilizing these equipments for completing their projects, either academic or industry sponsored projects. So as you see on the top three, we have the gantry system, we have a full-fledged robotic system with the latest welding power sources that can give you a lot of features to weld different materials, different complex jobs, etc. The third is the robot with the TIG welding. So we also have a robot with the TIG welding equipment. The next on the left side, you see the Tata Robo, or what we call a stall robo, where we have converted a pick and place robo into a welding robo. Below that, you are seeing a universal robot, again a universal robot, generally widely used in the industry for pick and place. We have converted into robot for welding. Then we have at the bottom of the welding automation display, you have the two systems which we have built. One is the completely designed and fabricated 6-axis articulated robo, what you see on the left. On the right side, we have a 5-axis Cartesian robot for cladding, surfacing, etc. On the other two machines we have built, one for TIG welding, another for MIG welding of cylindrical jobs, wherein you can do cylindrical welding, linear welding, curvilinear welding, and so on. So these are some of the facilities in our center, which is open to you for usage for your students, projects, etc. We also have several other evaluation and testing equipments. As you see on the left side, are everybody able to see my cursor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So on the left side, you see Robo DK, Robo Studio, and Robo Guide. These are the 3 simulation packages which we have before we go into an industrial product, robotic automation. We run through the product into this simulation package to see for interferences, checking for total welding time, movement time, etc. We also have the SysWeld software, which is a finite element software for complete prediction and simulation of welding. On the next middle, you see the 3 simulation jobs. One is for a butt welding, another is for a T-joint with fillet welding, and the third is an actual component of a missile, where you can see you can do an exact simulation of welding, optimize the parameters to minimize distortion, residual stresses, etc. So the central SysWeld package is for numerical simulation. The left side is for robo simulation. On the right side, you see a physical simulation equipment called Global. This is one of the unique features, very expensive 6 crore equipment, which we have in our center, where both industry, academia, researchers, research labs, anybody can use it for physical simulation of welding, heat treatment, post-weld heat treatment, hardening, heat treatments like hardening, tempering, effect of tempering. All those things can be studied in a small material sample, which is a representative sample of a big job. So this is widely used for foundries, casting industries, welding industries, for simulating heat affected zone, welding, etc. So these are some of the research facilities that faculty members, students, projectants can make use of in our center. Now let us plunge into our robotic welding automation. I think already all of you have become quite wise in knowing what is a robot, what is automation, etc. So I'll quickly pass through these things, as you have already heard quite a lot about this. So as you know, the robotic welding makes about 29% of all robotic applications. As you know, if you take 100% of robotic automation, some are for pick and place, some are for spraying, some are for painting, some are for assembly, and 29% of those applications constitutes the welding quantum, and topped only by robotic material handling. So above this is only robotic material handling. So the number 1 major application is robotic handling. The next is robotic welding. So that way, welding occupies number 2 in the rank of robotic applications. And generally, automatic welding is most commonly used in the manufacturing and engineering industries, to increase the efficiency of companies and labs. In fact, there are two main branches of robotic welding. One is the arc welding, another is the resistance welding, which is widely used in the automotive industry. So both are equally, in terms of population, both are equally poised between 15 to 15%. So widely, this automotive industry used extensively this robotic resistance spot welding and arc welding to an equal extent, and we will go further on to this. Generally, this robotic welding automation can be divided into two branches. One is the light fabrication, another is the heavy fabrication. When you talk about light fabrication, we talk about thin gauge materials, small assemblies less than 1 ton in assembly weight. Whereas when you talk about heavy fabrication, we talk about huge fabrications more than 2 tons weight. The idea is when you take light fabrication, these are all very small sub-assemblies weighing less than 2 tons or mostly 1 ton, and they are normally employ single pass welds. So they are widely used in automotive parts where thin gauge materials are used, lightweight assemblies, and mostly single pass welds. But at the same time, these frames or these assemblies contain lot of small length, lot of welding. So the robo welding highly suits this application. And since there are a lot of components assembled and welded in a single place, the use of fixtures and positioners becomes inevitable, about which I'm going to tell you a lot. Now coming to heavy fabrication, they contain fewer parts, but several of them, but they're all thicker section assemblies, and so generally weigh more than 2 tons. They employ mostly single pass welds, but many times multi-pass welds as well. So if you see that with respect to time or takt time for production, the fit-up time and welding time is quite high in terms of man-hours for a heavy fabrication. Whereas in the light fabrication, the welding time hardly goes between 1 minute to 2 minutes. Whereas in heavy fabrication, it goes from 1 hour to 2 hours or even 4 hours. So generally, this heavy fabrication is welded without fixtures, but with some positioners. So when you do welding without positioners, you require really smart systems with a lot of subsystems to overcome the use of fixtures. We'll go into the details as early as possible. But remember, when you say automation, with respect to welding, you got to understand and appreciate many small operations involved in the production. For example, if you take, there are 9 major operations in any automation. First, we have to load the parts. We have to locate the part in its respective position in the fixture. Then we have to clamp it before welding. Then we have to tack them so that when you turn the job, they don't fall off. Then you do the welding. Then you have to unclamp the assembly. When you do the unclamping, because of welding is a unique process where after when the weld solidifies, it shrinks. So the assembly may shrink to a little extent. So it may be difficult for you to remove the assembly from the fixture. So you got to have a plan for this. Then you can unload it, and further finishing operations and loading of the next part is how the automation goes. Now, if you look at all these operations, all the operations when it's done by a man, a welder, a fitter, and a group, we call it manual welding. Whereas out of these 9 operations or 8 operations, when some of them can be done with the man and with some fixture or etc., we call it as semi-automation. Whereas when you come to fully automated welding parts, most of them are done by machine and a fixture. So when you go for semi-automation, the man with the fixture is the combination here. And when you come to welding, the man, the welder, the machine and the positioner, all the three play a role. So that means the man machine interface is very, very critical in a fully automated setup. And if you look at in further details, there are about 16 steps. If you look at it closely, here there are 4 ways in which welding can be done. It's called type of welding: manual, semi-automatic, mechanized and automatic. So when you say manual, it's very clear. All the operations like setting up parameters, positioning of the torch, starting of the torch, stabilization of the arc length, maintaining the filler wire rate, guiding the arc. So all these operations are done by man who is a skilled operator. Whereas if you come to semi-automatic, some of them are manual, some of the functions are taken over by the power source, which is smarter power source today, and the power source program. Very often today, digital power sources come with programs where you don't have to every time repeat the setting. The programs can be instructed and the program can memorize and apply this program of parameters. When you come to mechanized, the mechanization helps you to guide the torch, position the job, etc., so that welding is done in a more comfortable position. And when it comes to automatic, what we mean by automatic is that as the welding progresses, when there are disturbances in the root gap, when there are disturbances in the arc length, or when there are disturbances in terms of sharp corners, etc., the machine or the robot or the sensors sense these things and automatically correct the parameters, making it fully automatic. So when you say automatic, the machine should have the intelligence to sense the disturbing factor, take the feedback from the real situation, make automatic corrections within split second and apply them into the torch or the positioner or the robot such that the welding quality is maintained perfectly. So this is what we mean by automation. So when it comes to automation, you can have both a special purpose machine or a robotic welding automation. In fact, robotic welding gives you several advantages that you don't get with a special purpose machine. Like all these things are available even in a SPM or a special purpose machine. The most interesting thing is that it gives you a very high flexibility, thereby any type of job can be done within a few hours of learning and application compared to SPM, which are customized and tailor-made. Now the advantages of robotic automation is fewer mistakes, higher production velocity or speed, and robots can work 24 hours, all 7 days without breaks, and robots have highest arc time or arc on time as we call it. Here you have to understand that whenever you do a mechanization or an automation, when you come to manual welding, you should appreciate that if a welder takes an electrode and starts welding, at the maximum, a electrode of 450 mm standard length burns for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. So after 2 minutes of welding, he has to change the rod, he has to remove his helmet, he has to clean the job free of spatter, etc. So he takes another 2 to 3 minutes to do this handling. Again he starts. So practically for 2 hours of 2 minutes of welding, he has to have 3 minutes of unproductive time. So if you add these two, it becomes 5. 2 by 5 approximately gives you roughly about 40% arc time. So if you see, that means though the production is achieved only as long as the arc is on. When the arc is off, you don't get any deposition, you don't get any welding, you don't get any production. So when I say 40% arc time, that means if you take say 10 minutes of welding, he welds only for 4 minutes, and the rest of the 6 minutes goes for cleaning, removal of the helmet, removal of the spatter, cleaning the slag, all these operations. Now, when it comes to mechanization, the change of electrode is removed, but the cleaning time is still there. So 40% jumps to 50, 60%. So further, with robotic welding, when you build a fully automated system, robot system which is smart, which has got several peripherals to do this handling like cleaning, torch cleaning, weld cleaning, all those things, it becomes 80%. Now, can I have 100% of arc time in any real life situation? Next to impossible. So, this 100% perfection is next to impossible. You can at the best reach 95%, and I have hardly seen any industry crossing this 80%. So, please remember, automation is a destination, but it's a perfection, and you can never be perfect 100%. So we can only go towards perfection. We cannot reach a perfection because 100% full time or arc time is next to impossible. So higher the arc time, higher the productivity, higher the production. So we all aim at from 40% level to in a manual welding, we jump to 50 to 60% in SPMs and semi-automatic welding operations. In robotic automation, we can jump to 75 to 80%. So 40% to 80% jump is what we achieve in a robotic automation system setup. So whereas if you employ human operators for welding, you will have less than 50% arc time. So productivity is achieved by simply one word, by increase the arc on time from 40% to 80%. So this is the crux of the issue in automation. And secondly, because it's a machine, there is no fatigue of handling the torch several times, going to the same location and repeatedly welding. So your fatigue is absent, and you get improved quality in robotic welding. In fact, I would say more than quality, you get consistency and accuracy in robotic welding. The quality of welding not only depends on robo, but on many factors which you're going to see shortly. So I would say from my experience, this robotic automation gives you high consistency and accuracy of welding. Because the robot places the quality weld in the same spot repeatedly without any fatigue every time. And the precision of these systems also reduces spattering, resulting in neater seams, lesser post-cleaning, and so on. Please remember, all these statements are true only when there is no malfunctioning or damaged equipment or incorrect programming. All these things are eliminated from the scene. So if a proper programming is done, a good fixture is available and no malfunctioning, then whatever the previous three statements are true. Fortunately, all these issues can be prevented by certified robotic welding technicians and operators. Incidentally, our Center and Robotic Automation Engineering Department also gives training to any robot operator with which he can easily do the robotic automation. Next one is saving of energy. It conserves a lot of energy by running consistently, cutting the energy expensive startups and they do not overweld, and they do a consistent quality weld. When they do not overweld, the filler material wastage is prevented, so energy for welding is also minimized, and they reduce the need for corrective welding. No rework percentages. For example, if you take manual welding, you get a rework percentage of 10 to 15%. When you come to mechanization, you can get around 5 to 10%. When you go to robotic automation, this rework can be reduced to below 5%. So there is a drastic reduction in rework from 15% to below 5%. So that is another great saving for your automation, and reduced wastage. When you have increased welding speeds and minimizes excess energy, it increases the lifespan of consumable equipments, like you have a lot of accessories like guiding torch guides, contact tubes, etc. And consumables are yet another source of wastage. Consumables in robotic welding includes nozzles, guide rolls, guide tubes, etc., which have relatively short lifespans that are replaced after a number of uses. In fact, consumables, remember, in welding, consumable costs 3 to 5 times the cost of a base material. So every kg of a material, consumable material saved, gives you a big advantage in terms of cash outflow. This means consumables are purchased less frequently, saving costs. Return on investment. Finally, why should we go for a robotic automation? The efficiency, accuracy, and cost savings. All the three gives you a very big advantage, and it is more than the initial setup cost, which could be high. The combination of greater speeds, higher quality welds, and decreased scrap all gives you a quick return on investment. It increases further when you consider reduced energy costs, minimize chances of overwelding. Switching to a robotic welding process can help save the company significantly in the cost, and other costs, of course, includes labor, energy, etc., which are tied to this. Are all of you are hearing me? Slides are okay? Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir, audible.
Slides are visible? No problem?
No problem, sir.
Right, okay. Now, coming to robotic welding system. Sujit, you want to hear? No. Now, let us come to robotic welding systems. So, when I say system, it is not only the robot, the welding power source, the welding torch, the wire feeder, sensors, positioner, fixtures, all these peripherals, and the robot includes the total system. These systems provide accuracy, repeatability in many fabrication and manufacturing applications, and the opportunity for savings is the primary reason many companies make the investment. And today, there are a lot of shortage of skilled welders entering the workforce, though India is having a lot of population, lot of people are available, but the skilled welders are still a shortage. There is a difference between skilled welders and unskilled welders. Skilled welders use their brain to overcome various issues that may arise during welding, and they produce less wastage, less rework, and so the return on investment with skilled welders are better. But only one problem, skilled welders are very difficult to retain. So if the welders are offered a better pay packet, they immediately go to another company. So retention of the welders is very difficult, especially when they are given handsome salary abroad. they leave the workforce. So there is a continuous dearth and there is a continuous shortage of skilled welders in the industry today. This is one of the major issues that the industry faces. One simple solution is replace the welders with robotic welding system. You are through, and you can easily operate the welding systems with an engineer. You no longer need a skilled welder, so you are free from such issues. And it takes more than just installing a system to have a profitable welding operation. Now let us look at the various systems in a robotic welding automation setup. Number one on the top is the robot. The next is the robot. We have to integrate a welding power source with the robot. Next, we need peripherals to assist robotic welding. These three are essentials for a basic robot. If you want a smart robot or an intelligent robot, as intelligent as a skilled welder, you require sensors. So all these are the right side. When you go in the clockwise direction, the robot, power source, peripherals and sensors. These are all part of the robotic welding system. The next requirement is a fixture. This is for the job. So this fixture varies from one job to another. The right side 4 remains constant with any type of application, whereas the fixture varies from one component to another, one assembly with another. So fixtures have to be customized for the specific application or the job. The next is the procedure. Okay, I have the robo, I have the power source, I have the sensors, I have the fixture. But now you need the procedure. This procedure is required because about this procedure we are going to see a lot in the afternoon. In a short statement, I can say this procedure ensures the quality of the weld made by the robo or the man or by the semi-automatic anything. Whether it is a robo or a machine or a welder, a welding procedure is required because the welding procedure certifies that the weld deposited meets the quality requirements as per the standard. So without the procedure, neither a man nor a machine nor a robo can give you the quality output. So robo is not only sufficient, that's one of the criteria to get a quality weld. So robo does not produce any quality. It produces consistently, accurate weld. The welding quality is decided by the material used, the quality of the filler wire used, the shielding gases used, the welding parameters used, etc. So the procedure involves welding parameters, welding sequence, welding setup, the mode of welding, etc. The next is the quality control. Now, when you go for production, sometimes 100% jobs are tested, sometimes sampling jobs are tested. So the product that is made by the robo or the man or the automated setup is checked for its quality compliance with respect to a standard. So quality control is a necessity whether it is robo welding or manual welding, but the extent of quality control can be drastically reduced in a robot because it is an automatic system. For instance, if I am checking in manual, it is mainly because, as I told you, in manual welding, the rework percentage is of the order of 15 to 20% normally. Whereas when you come to semi-automatic or mechanized setup, it can be reduced to 10%, say 5 to 10%. When you come to robotic automation, it can be further reduced from 5 to 2%. Of course, zero defect is our destination or our wish, which any industry wants to achieve. So it is something like a perfection, and it depends on so many factors like material, consumable, parameters, setting up parameters, sequence, etc. So the quality control function is compatible with the robotic system because the rework percentage are going to be reduced to less than 5%. The quality control task itself becomes easy. The manpower for quality becomes reduced. Cost of quality reduces with robotic welding automation. Now let us go one by one. Now the welding robot, you would have already heard for the past, I think you started on 21st. So for the past 3 days, you have been hearing a lot of about robot. So you have floor mounted robots or side mounted robots, gantry mounted, all those things, hanging robots on the gantry, side mounted gantry, etc. Generally, robot is specified in terms of length, height, and width, or what you call as a single word sweep of the robot on the fixture or on the table on which the component is going to be clamped. And the reach or the sweep of the robot is to be chosen to cover maximum weld locations in the assembly. Again here, sometimes if the robot reach is not adequate, we may have to reset the component twice. Lot of errors can occur here. So when you select the robot for a given set of assemblies, you have to be very careful on designing or deciding the specification of the robot reach so that all components planned can be welded. The next issue in welding is payload of the robots. For example, TIG welding, MIG welding, CMT welding, and there are today lot of new welding processes that are emerged. Some of them involve specialized torches. So these torches weigh right from 1 kg to 10 kgs. So the process that you're going to adopt uses specialized torches along with filler wire feeding guides. So these hardwares could vary anywhere from 1 kg to 10 kg. And so the payload of the robot for welding is normally between 5 to 15 kgs, so that for any type of torch can be handled in this system. Now coming to positioning accuracy of the robots needs to be plus minus 0.5 mm because your positioner accuracy or the positioner and the fixture accuracy is of the generally is order of plus minus 0.5. So the positioner and the fixture, the positioner means when it turns the job, there are some gears, etc. involved. There could be a play, etc. And the accuracy of this hardware is of the order of plus minus 0.5. When it comes to fixture, the fixtures are again made of machined, fabricated devices which have its own tolerances. So the accuracy of these fixtures also varies over the order of plus minus 0.5 mm. So when you use these fixtures and the positioners for welding robot, the positioning accuracy of the robot expected or desired is of the order of plus minus 0.5 mm maximum. It can be anywhere from 0 to plus minus 0.5 mm. This is the required accuracy so that the robot can repeatedly reach the location where the weld is to be made. Sometimes the whole robot can be pedestal mounted, and this pedestal can be moved on rails, guide gears, etc., rack and pinion, etc., with the power source along with that, so that the wire feeding, mounting arrangement, everything can be mounted on the same pedestal bracket, so that the whole robot can take a longitudinal axis of up to 6 meters. We use it in our shops. Thirdly, when fixtures are not a part of the automation, suppose you don't want to use a fixture, remember special location sensors are to be used. We'll come to that in detail as we go along. Now coming to with respect to special requirements robot, we have seen over 2 slides. Now coming to power source. You have already heard the lecture by Dr. Murugan, who is an expert in gas metal arc welding. You would have already heard about the basics and the processes involved in robotic welding, which is today GMAW, GTAW, plasma welding, and so on. Now coming to GMAW, this is the process which is widely used in the industry for robotic welding automation. About 80% of the robots, arc welding robots, use this GMAW process. This gas metal arc welding process, the word GMAW refers to use of both inert and active gas or a mixture of active and inert gas combinations. When you're going to use only an inert gas, we call it MIG welding. When you use mixture gas or a CO2, we use gas metal arc welding. So this gas metal arc welding covers both active gas and inert gas for shielding. So generally, when you buy a power source or specify a power source for robotic welding, remember, robot can work 24/7 all the days continuously with a high arc time of 75 to 80%. So your power source must be 100% duty cycle. What it means is, generally, the power sources are designed for 60% duty cycle. That means you can, when you take a power source, you can operate for 6 minutes with the rest of 4 minutes. So 6 plus 4, it is something like an arc time. I weld for 6 minutes, wait for 4 minutes, totally 6/10 or 60% is the duty cycle. Whereas in the robotic automation, since this arc on time can be taken to 80% or even 90%, we need a welding power source with 100% duty cycle. So this means the cost of the power source may slightly go up because the cooling arrangements, the heat exchangers, etc. in the power source has to be accordingly designed and fabricated. As you know, since you're going to work for 100% duty cycle, you need to remove the heating of the torch continuously over the duration of welding. So gas-cooled torches are not generally used. We use water-cooled heavy-duty torches. Heavy duty in the sense they may carry a higher amperage for a longer time. So all the welding cables, the torch gas cups, the liners, the contact tubes, all these peripherals have to be heavy duty type, which can work for a longer time with a higher current and so on. Now generally today, as we see it, robots work with inverter type digital power sources. The digital power sources are highly suitable for robotic welding because, please remember, we want a high arc time, high arc on time, so that the productivity is higher. That means the unproductive time of spatter cleaning, cleaning of the slag, etc. has to be eliminated. So that means we don't want to do cleaning in between one weld and another. So that means you require a spatter-free welding feature in your power source. Secondly, because the robo is going to take different positions, etc., you require deep penetration welding process because sometimes you may do vertical welding, sometimes horizontal welding, sometimes downhand welding. Very few instances you may even use overhead welding. In any position, you need to get deep penetration which is a critical requirement. So features are to be built in your power source. And when you do root welding, please remember, when you set up the two pipes or two members, the root is the most critical factor, where the root gap may vary before welding or even during welding. So that time, your power source has to be an intelligent kind of a power source, which can take the feedback and give the correction then and there within a split microsecond. So all these features are available with only digital type power sources, which respond within microsecond. Next level is pulse welding features, which helps you to do root welding. All these are complex things where a lot of knowledge are required for setting these parameters. So what today the power source designers have done is, they have digitized the power sources and made it programmable, so that once you set the parameters and designate a number, program 1, program 2, etc., you don't have to do anything. Invoke the specific program and start welding. So robo programming and power source programming, these two are different. Robo programming means the path of the robo, sequence of the weld, timing of the movement, etc. When you come to power source programming, we talk about the mode of welding, selection of the mode of welding. In the selected mode, the parameters like the welding wire diameter, the welding current, the welding voltage, the speed of welding, pulsing parameters, etc. So this program can be made into a mock-up. When it is tested and found okay, the whole set of parameters can be programmed and repeatedly applied in a robotic application. So this is what enables all these functions is simply made in a very convenient way by a digital power source. That is why we need an inverter digital power source. So it is not a fancy, but it is a necessity in the case of robotic welding. Coming to the next one, the power source must be coupled with the robot pendant controller or main controller, because you cannot go on walking to the power source, adjust the power source during the setting operation. So all the control of this pattern-free welding, deep penetration mode, root welding, pulse parameters must be controllable from the robot pendant or controller from the remote, so that this operator who is setting these parameters is comfortable and he doesn't have to undergo fatigue towards setting of these parameters. So remote adjustment of parameters are very easily possible with digital power sources. Now, programmable type of power source is just what I told you. So I was talking to you about the flexibility earlier. Suppose the company is going to bid for, say, 15 types of automotive assemblies, maybe 15 for Hyundai, 10 for TVS, 5 for some other company. So all these 100 types of components can be programmed. Power source welding programs can be programmed and kept in the library. So any time when the order goes for one company, they can switch over to another company's product and very easily start welding. So this gives you a highest flexibility of switching over from one product to another, in the same company product, one product to another, one company to another. All these are possible with a programmable type of power source with multiple programs that makes the setting highly comfortable and possible. Now coming to the fixture and the positioner. As you know, in welding, The down hand welding gives you highest quality welding, and so the robo can adjust itself to any position of welding. But sometimes, if the robo itself goes and adjusts itself to various positions and locations, it may take more time, and the takt time for the robo may get reduced. So, in order to enhance the arc on time of robo, what we do is we also have a positioner which is servo synchronized. That means its motion is synchronized with the robo so that they both move in tandem to the right position, so that the robo takt time or the robo unproductive time of moving from one place to another is minimized. So the positioners can be rotating type, tilting type, etc. So that welding is done in downhand. But remember, when you do robotic welding on a positioner, if the job is heavy, it may fall on the operator. So for safety, it has to be secured firmly to the positioner. And when positioners are not used, suitable fit-up bars grouted on the shop floors can be used. The robo has to have a suitable location sensor. Now, coming to peripherals, these are additional equipments that gets integrated with the system. They can maximize the performance and increase the arc on time, increasing the productivity and return on investment by improving the performance, lifetime of consumables, and minimizing the defects. The peripherals include torch cleaning, torch changing, cooling system for the torches to prevent overheating, special wire feeders so that wire feeders need not be changed frequently, cable handling arrangement when you do a very long 20-meter welding, torches with fume extraction systems, anti-spatter say system, automatic wire cutters, heavy-duty alloyed tips, heavy-duty MIG guns, special wire feeders, nozzles, shielding gas manifolds, because if you try to handle individual gas cylinders, during this changing of the cylinders, the time will be wasted, unproductive time will increase, arc on time will reduce, fume extraction system, and arm mount and clutches for collision protection. So all these are peripherals which are used extensively. Coming to sensors. Now, whenever you want to do an intelligent welding or an automatic welding, remember, robot is not an intelligent, he is an unskilled fellow. The robot becomes intelligent only when sensors are added to the robot by way of through the arc sensors, vision sensors, laser sensors for tracking the scene, vision sensors to location, laser sensors for tracking for multi-pass welds. Fit-up needs to match with robo positioning, and when offloaded parts are welded, the same accuracy is needed. So any company goes for offloading of sub-assemblies. Different suppliers gives you different tolerances. So the robo has to distinguish through its sensor by intelligence. So all these are required. So here I would like to explain the difference between jig, positioner, and a fixture. A jig is a device to locate the parts relative to one another as per the drawing. A fixture is a device that holds the parts and enables manipulation of the assembly till either tack welding or full welding is completed. Positioners enable the job to be brought in downhand or comfortable welding positions to increase the arc on time. Manipulators or robots, they handle the task. Positioners handle the job. Manipulators or robots which handle the task. Positioners handle the job. Manipulators handle the torch or the robot is a big manipulator. It's a programmable manipulator. Fixture is a device that holds the part. So the success of the significance of robotic tooling. The major issue or the challenge in any robotic welding is the tooling. So if you can design a proper tooling, robotic tooling, which includes fixtures, etc., your arc on time will be very high. So welding robot system entirely depends on tooling. Generally, it is overlooked and trivialized and under budgeted. Tooling is an important interface between the robot, workpiece, and the operator. Remember, tooling decides the quality of the welded part. Now, generally, you may be, when we established these robot systems in so many industries, we found that if the robot system costs about, say, 2 crores, a robot alone costs only 30 to 35%, 65 to 75% of the cost goes for the tooling and the accessories and the peripherals. So, robot is cheap, robotic system is costlier. This system includes peripherals, accessories, etc., as we saw. So, underestimating the tooling issues can lead to failure of the project and start blaming the robotic system rather than the intelligent systems. Fixture is a mandatory for robotic welding as the welding torch traces the location and path once taught repeatedly. So every job, suppose if I am welding 100 jobs per hour, we don't need teaching the robo for every time. Once you teach the robo goes to the exact location and start welding repeatedly. To do this, fixture is mandatory. The robot does not recognize the deviation of the weld location, if any. Suppose in the component, you have not fixed one bracket. Say, for example, the robot does not recognize that. He goes there and welds even though there is no component there. Please note that. So that is where the sensor works. Fixture is mandatory as the assembly may deviate during welding. This is one of the unique characteristics of welding. As you start welding, thin sections start distorting, twisting, shrinking, and so on. So as the, suppose if the job requires some 36 joints, after 10th to 15th joint, the 16th to 17th joint may undergo deviation due to the previous welding of 14 members. So this is a problem in welding. So sensors becomes a must when you experience certain problems in that case. Or fixture is a must in such cases where the deviations are not permitted. The fixture holds the members firmly without going out of its position. When such deviations are inevitable, as you see, special vision-based sensors are used to recognize the deviation when experienced. When you have these fixtures, the measurements required for operator with respect to location minimized, improved identification, and enhanced fit-up of workpieces to obtain tighter tolerances. For successful robotic automation, fit up, and fit up. The most important factor required because fit up tolerances has to be very closely maintained because it cannot exceed normally the robot welding wire diameter. If the wire diameter is normally 1.2, 1.6, generally you have to keep the tolerances within 1.6 millimeters. If the tolerances exceeds 1.6, your productivity or on time will reduce. Sometimes robot itself can give you lower productivity than manual welding because of poor fit up. Because robot cannot recognize the deviation, it will simply weld producing a poor quality weld. So minimized welding distortion, less labor, improved weld consistency, fewer product errors when you use fixtures. And most important fixture design is when parts are firmly fixed, weld locations are fixed. If not, RoboWeld may start welding in a wrong position. If all the more essential in welding robot, welding may distort during welding. So what we do in our center is, before the robotic automation, we run a FEM simulation using SysWeld to know the effective deviations that may arise during welding and after welding, and design the fixture so that robotic automation is successful. So we use the SysWeld and robotic simulation as a prerequisite for robotic automation by FEM. So this is our strategy to do that. So after that, we use the assembly fixture. Sometimes we assemble the parts in a fixture and take it to welding, or in the same fixture we can assemble and weld. Both can be used like that. So when it comes to assembly and welding, you have to load the parts, locate the parts, clamp the parts, handle the parts, tack weld the parts, and so on. So that is why we call it assembly fixture, welding fixture. And after welding, very often in automotive industries, the welded part is put on an inspection jig and tested. So any one of these operations can be manual, mechanized, and automatic, like loading, locating, clamping, tack welding, etc. So any one of them can be all the three modes. So when you say fixture, you have to locate the part, clamp the part, and tack weld the part. So location can be point, line, surface. You could be using dowel pins, stoppers, holes, surface blocks. Clamping can be manual, pneumatic, hydraulic, depending on the tack time. Positioning could be manual, mechanized, coordinated. All these could be designed. So clamping pressure is generally more because to prevent distortion and prevent excessive deflection, to provide proper orientation and location, allowing for predictable thermal changes, where we predicted using a finite element software. Loading and unloading must be quick, should be safe, and electrical conductivity should be in the fixture, should be guaranteed. Sometimes for thin section stainless steel aluminum components, we may use heat dissipation devices or heat sinks to remove the heat during welding. And all these are, for example, generally such simple clamping devices like latches, hold down clamps, pliers, and plungers are used for holding the parts. And positioners and manipulators, as I told you, positioner is for the job, manipulator is for the torch, and robot is nothing but a special manipulator with articulated arms, which is programmable and uses repeated operations. So when I say positioning, what I mean is positioning of the assembly to get to the right lead angle and work angle for welding. Positioning of the assembly for reducing the handling time, increasing the velocity of production, eliminating the need for crane, etc. Positioning could be also due to reduce the fatigue for the people or for safe operation. So several types of positioners like turntables, columns, winches, robots, etc. are available. So this is a simple universal workpiece handling pattern where you have the slotted tables where it's all leveled and beautifully done, and such frames can be easily welded by clamping the frame and welding it very easily. Whereas certain kind of customized assembly, you can see the robo with a fixture. The fixture is kept on a positioner which rotates and tilts itself to enable downhand welding. And sometimes we use such clamps for holding the parts. It could be either manual or pneumatically operated. As you see here, you are able to see a manual clamping of the fixture, whereas sometimes we use pneumatic clamping. Here you are able to see a full frame assembly in a fixture manually clamped. And here, it's a glimpse of what I'm going to show you in the afternoon. It's a typical two-wheeler frame called Scooty Pep. Here we have designed a fixture for TVS. We have implemented this robotic automation. So I'm going to talk to you a lot on this. So coming to procedures, as I told you, we require procedures for guaranteeing the well metal properties to meet in compliance with the standards or codes, and all this has to be tested as per different codes. A suitable quality plan and procedures are to be applied, and depending on the type of weldment, either sampling or 100% checks are made using even robotic jigs sometimes. So quality establishment through one-off trial is essential to well control quality. All these ought to be established. So coming to the challenges, remember any component used as plate, rolled, formed sections, could be cast, could be wrought, etc. Each one of them have different tolerance limits. So several types of welds are carried out: single, multi-pass, fillet, lap, butt joints, etc. And you require a positioning of the weldment to bring the component to downhand welding. And when you apply, the sensors become more difficult in multi-pass welds. That is a challenge. And the reach of the robots needs to be higher because the torch has to be held in a specific angle called lead angle and the work angle, so that the fillet size will be equal in both horizontal and vertical directions. The power sounds or accessories have to be of heavy duty, as we have seen, and power source capacity has to be higher with heavy duty cycles because it's going to work for a longer time. It is preferable to use flux-free, spatter-free processes which doesn't require cleaning, etc. Heavy duty torches are to be used. Post cleaning of the torches may be necessary at periodic intervals, etc. And special high torque wire feeders are essential. All these things we have seen already. So I will rush through. Nearly each welding project needs a customized fixture. Robots are almost inevitable off the shelf. Readily you can buy the robot from a supplier, while each tool is designed and built for the job. Robo is off the shelf available. Robotic system is not available off the shelf. A tool builder often gets very little time to design a tool. Careful planning and foresight must be applied to resolve the tooling issues. Tooling design and performance depends on many factors like welding access. You require a coordinated movement or servo synchronized motion for the robot and the positioner to get you the right quality of welding. Repeatability, as I told you, plus minus 0.5 accuracy, and fixture, sometimes with vision-based sensors and seam tracking are required for repeatability. And the robot system tooling must be operator friendly, maintenance friendly, and should be rugged because heavy duty welding, spatter, etc. may cause problem. Generally in an automotive industry, we change the tooling system every once in 2 years because of the wear and tear of the system. And spatter protection is a must because compared to machining fixture, welding always involves spatter. So spatter can cause part loading, etc. All these things are a must, etc. And adjustable datum and quick change features. So we can have a single tooling for a family of parts, on tooling on the welding positioner, and tool design features like 3D modeling, 3D solid modeling, SolidWorks, offline programming. All these are possible. Here we use robot simulation packages like RobotDK, Robot Studio, which are available in our center. And we also simulate with SimuFact. We have a SysWeld, etc. to identify critical distortion, investigate and optimize clamping tools, etc. before we start welding. As I told you, we use SysWeld for predicting the core assembly deviations in the dimensions by thermal visualization. stress analysis, etc. is done. So these are some of the parts which we have done for robotic simulation using SysWorld. Now, remember, robot is a manipulator. The heart of the system is the welding power source. Robot only guides the torch, it does not weld. Only the power source welds. Robot cannot replace a man completely. It does only part of the operation. It does not get fatigued. That is its greatest strength. And we require intelligence to do certain specific root welding, multi-part welding, etc. Robot does not provide intelligence. Sensors, etc. Peripherals provides all these, and power source and sensors provide intelligence. Welding quality depends on power source and parameters used. Robots provides consistency. Robot is the most important component of the system. No. Fixtures, positioners, power source, sensors contribute to quality and are equally important. The costliest component is the robot. No. Fixtures, positioners, subsystem, sensor, more expensive. Robots can provide quality irrespective of the job. Absolutely wrong. Robot miserably fails when the input fit-up conditions are poor. Robot gives you accuracy and quality value when you have the positioners and other subsystems. Robot can provide consistency only when the weldment is properly located and fixed. So fixturing is mandatory. Robot can perform any out of position welding. No. Robot only takes the torque to the position. Power source has got the intelligence and the capacity to perform out of position welding. So thank you very much for your patient hearing. I hope I am on time and I welcome you with questions. So any questions? Hello, Dr. Murugan, Vishwapriya. Any questions?
Parvati Priya, sir. Parvati
Yeah.
Priya, sir. Yes.
Yeah? Yeah. Do we have time for questions?
Yes, sir. We have 3 more minutes, sir. You can
Yeah,
have.
okay. Oh, yeah. Welcome. Or send me the questions. You collect the questions and send me. We can answer all the questions. I once again invite all 68 of you. I see there are 68 people attending this program. I invite all of you to visit our center after the lockdown is lifted, and we can discuss and work together on this exciting field of robotic automation. Go ahead.
So there is one question in comment box, sir.
Yeah,
Can you reply, sir?
comment box.
Chat
How
box.
do I turn on captions? No. Oh, chat. Yeah. First is Murugan. My mic is not working, so that's not my scope. Okay, next. Do you mean to say an integrated knowledge of these are essential to produce a good output? Absolutely right. This is the most important learning that you have got now. You have to have an integrated knowledge of all this to produce a good output. Okay, next. Is it better to use fixed automation or a robot? Robot is always more profitable, more flexible for any automation as changeover from one component to another, one assembly to another, one company to another component of another company is highly possible, quick, and response will be better. Okay? Do you develop the power sources or off the shelf? We have developed a power source which is a programmable power source for TIG welding. But I talked about MIG welding, GMAWM power source in this lecture. Today, excellent power sources are available off the shelf, and we have to specify these power sources. Suppose you are going to use this power source, your robot system for aluminum welding, titanium welding, nickel welding, steel welding. The power source has to have all these capability. Suppose you are going to use only steel welding, ferritic steel welding, the power source need not be that high-end power source. So these requires direct dialogue with you to what kind of application you are think of.
Thank you very much, sir. The
Right.
session is very informative and interesting, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Right. So we'll what time we meet? In the afternoon?
Afternoon, you have session at 2 o'clock, sir.
Right. Okay. Done.
Okay, sir.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
sir.
Thank you one and all.
Okay. I
Dr.
request our
Murugan has
participants. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Murugan wants to say something, I think, but his mic is, you have not provided him with the mic on.
Yes, sir. Sir is having
Hello.
Yes, sir.
some network
Yes, sir.
connection.
Thank you, sir. Now only I changed
Right.
in the mic. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your wonderful lecture. On behalf of our department and CEO, really, I thank you once again.
Right.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.